Good morning, welcome to Catex TV. My name is Frank Fortunato. Today is Friday, February 20th, 2015. If you wish to follow us on Twitter, please go to Catex TV. The Insurance Council of Australia has declared a catastrophe for parts of central Queensland after the region was struck by the severe tropical cyclone Marcia earlier today. The storm hit Queensland as a Category 5 cyclone, that would be a hurricane, with core gusts of about 285 kilometers an hour, which is about 180 miles per hour. It hit the coast between St. Lawrence and Yeppoon. It was downgraded to a Category Storm 3 soon afterwards, although forecasters are predicting abnormally high tides and very heavy rains for the region. The Insurance Council reported that damage had been done in many communities. Many towns and cities further to the south are also likely to occur storm and water damage as Marcia is tracking southwest. It also said that the impact of Marcia is likely to be felt for many days, and it's much too early to estimate insurance losses. The catastrophe declaration did not apply to areas in the Northern Territory affected by Tropical Storm Lam, which hit near the town of Milagimbi as a Category 4 storm earlier this morning. The Prime Minister of Australia, Tony Abbott, said that Marcia was very serious. Let's hope we can get through it without any loss of life. Arthur J. Gallagher International, the international brokerage division of Arthur J. Gallagher, announced that Graham Chilton is going to replace the outgoing CEO David Ross. Ross left to become CEO of Towergate. Chilton is well known in the London community and globally, in fact. He's been working in partnership with Gallagher since December of 2013, leading the company's reinsurance intermediary, Capsicum Re. He's going to continue in that role at Capsicum. Prior to that, he was the former chairman of Aon Benfield, and prior to that, he was one of the core founders of the Benfield Brokerage Group. Two passenger trains collided in Switzerland earlier today, causing injuries and disrupting commuter routes into Zurich. The collision occurred at a train station in the town of Rafz, R-A-F-Z, north of Zurich. The accident occurred at about 6:45 a.m. local time. Police say that at least 5 people have been injured. A passenger on the commuter train, which had been hit by a European express train, said that it had just begun pulling out of the station in Rafz on its way to Zurich when the conductor hit the brakes. An express train from Zurich came up behind and hit the side of our train, and our train derailed. Ambulances rushed to the scene. The Swiss are Europe's top rail users, and an incident with the Swiss railway system is very, very rare. European Union paymaster Germany seems to have softened its tone on Friday as the Eurozone finance ministers race to break a deadlock over the Greek debt talks. A senior Greek official said a deal was close. Germany has said that Greece's latest proposal was a good signal, although it didn't go far enough. A spokesperson for Angela Merkel said the latest Greek request for an extension of the loan agreement with Europe was a good signal and provided a basis for further talks, but was not quite sufficient in its current term. The spokeswoman for Merkel sent a more conciliatory message than the finance minister, Wolfgang Schäuble, had sent on yesterday when he said that the terms were unacceptable completely. The German chancellor's spokesperson said the letter from the Greek finance minister makes clear that Greece remains interested in support from the European Union. This letter is a good signal which allows us to continue to negotiate. My suspicion is typically what will happen is they'll come to some short-term resolution and we will have this discussion again in 2 months. Here's an interesting story from Venezuela. The mayor of Venezuela's largest city and capital, Caracas, was forcibly carted out of his office after being arrested by paramilitary black-clad special police. Police broke into Antonio Ledezim's office and carried the longtime critic of Venezuela's socialist government off to jail, adding to tensions on the anniversary of outbreaks of protests that paralyzed the entire nation a year ago. Dozens of men in flak jackets and camo uniforms smashed down the door of Ledesma's office and forcibly carried him out of the building. As news of the kidnapping, if you will, spread across the Capitol, people spontaneously banged pots from their windows in protest, while drivers tapped rhythms on their car horns in rush hour traffic. As night fell, a crowd of people vented their anger in front of the headquarters of the Intelligence Service Police, where the mayor is thought to be held. The president, Nicolas Maduro, took to TV and to radio to say that Ledesma, one of the most vocal opposition leaders, would be punished for trying to sow unrest in Venezuela. He'll be held accountable for all of his crimes, the president said in a speech that TV and radio stations across the country were required to carry. Last week, Maduro named Ledesma among government critics and Western powers he accused of plotting a coup to bring down the government. This fellow is as bad as his predecessor, Hugo Chavez. The weather in the United States is absolutely terrible. A very heavy snowstorm is scheduled to blanket the Rocky Mountain area, including Denver. It's going to be the biggest storm to hit Denver in 3 years. In the Boston area, Massachusetts is bracing for its 5th successive weekend storm in a row. This is going to bring severe ice and rain. And if the temperature increases just enough, it will also create a giant flood as the previous 5 storms and the 8.5 feet of snow are going to begin to melt. Meanwhile, in the Northeast, in Princeton, New Jersey this morning, it was 0 degrees Fahrenheit. The wind chill was 17 degrees below zero, and it was really 17 below zero. Meanwhile, in the Middle East, a heavy snowstorm has shut down roads leading in and out of Jerusalem. Jerusalem has received 10 inches of snow. 4 more inches are forecast. Desert towns such as Dimona and Beersheba have also been blanketed with snow. As snow has been falling since Thursday in Lebanon, and on Friday it paralyzed most streets in the Jordanian capital of Amman. Well, climate change is just that. It's not necessarily global warming, it's climate change. That's the news for today. If we have any breaking news, we'll come back and tell you. If not, have a good weekend, and thank you for watching.